system. Others look at it and simply say, so what?
You could take some ancient technology like the Baghdad battery, which probably was used for something like metal plating, in which you just mix chemicals and it has certain chemical reactions to it that they're using for this reason. And we can take and put a voltmeter on and go, oh, look, we're able to get a reading out of it. Well, so what? That's just a chemical reaction. If they were using it, say, this battery to operate other machines, where are the other machines? If they were sending the electricity down wires, where are all the wires that would have been all over the culture? In other words, it's not likely a one-off invention like that is going to survive without all the other inventions that would have been there at the same time.
It is a battery, everybody agrees with that, but nobody knows why they made it and how they made it. What mind would think of that? You know, electrical current back several thousand years ago? It's very strange, but it's clearly a battery.
The whole idea that ancient civilizations actually had knowledge of electricity and used electricity is an accepted archaeological fact today. Just like in our own civilization, where about 200 years ago, Benjamin Franklin and other scientists began experimenting with simple electrical devices, we now have evidence that over 3,000 years ago, people were also experimenting with electrical devices. Where might it have led them? What other electrical devices would they have been able to create? I believe they probably created all kinds of electrical devices.
Tombs, temples, ancient light bulbs, even electricity. Here on Earth exists evidence of architectural and technological wonders, centuries before we ever believed them possible. But if evidence of ancient astronauts exists here on Earth, what about elsewhere? Might we find what we are looking for by looking in the sky? Here, at the ancient city of Teotihuacan in Mexico, evidence suggests that ancient cultures possessed an incredibly accurate knowledge of our neighboring planets. Some scholars have even interpreted the number and orientation of its pyramids to perfectly reflect a model of our own solar system.
Along the Avenida de los Muertos, the Avenue of the Dead, the pyramids there align in perfect distance of each of the orbits of our planets in our solar system.
Perhaps significant is the fact that the large pyramid of the Sun is positioned at the center of the other structures, reflecting the fact that the Sun is at the center of our solar system and that the planets revolve around it.
It was a known fact back then already that the Sun was at the center of our solar system, which Western science didn't find out until much, much later.
But just how could Teotihuacan's designers have known so early on that the planets in our solar system revolved around the Sun? Didn't that take many more centuries of scientific progress and investigation to figure out?
Interestingly enough, debunkers will say, oh, this is just coincidence that these pyramids are aligned with the planets of our solar system. But if we go on the other side of the planet to Stonehenge, we have another ancient site, which is way older, by the way, than Teotihuacan, where if you look at Stonehenge from a bird's eye view, you see that these are all concentric circles. And each of these circles corresponds exactly with the orbit of all of our planets in our solar system. So we have two places on Earth where we have the same thing.
In recent years, Stonehenge has also been interpreted by some archaeologists to be a kind of astronomical calendar, one which could be used to calculate events such as solar eclipses. But if that were true, Whoever aligned these massive stones on the barren English landscape would have to have had precise astronomical knowledge of the path of the sun. Built between the 7th and 9th centuries, the stone temples of Tikal tower more than 200 feet above the Guatemalan rainforest. Tikal is home to one of the largest excavation sites in the world, one where thousands of structures still remain buried beneath the jungle. According to most scientists, Tikal's pyramids played an essential part in helping the Mayans devise their calendar. By aligning the sight lines between the highest points of the structures, ancient astronomers could pinpoint the most important dates of the year, such as an upcoming equinox or solstice. But what also excites ancient astronaut theorists is how perfectly the layout of Tikal's pyramids correlate to the star map of the Pleiades-Orion region of the sky. An overhead view of the structures almost exactly mirrors the alignment of the constellation. This same outline has been spotted in an area far from Tikal, much, much farther. Recently discovered on Mars is a cluster of landforms that offers a near-perfect replication of the pyramid pattern of Tikal. 3 distinct locations, 1 unique pattern. Coincidence or design?
At Tikal, the legends and the mythologies that we have all speak of a time when the gods intermingled and interconnected with our ancestors. So Tikal also was built as a message for future generations to see that a long, long time ago, we were visited by extraterrestrials.
Someone who had seen this had to have actually relayed the information to them because they couldn't have just guessed. So it really starts to raise the question of saying this ancient astronaut theory really needs to have more light shed on the topic.
It's certainly possible that the ancient people not only measured all of these astronomy events, but were able to come up with a mathematical theory to put them together and then to predict new things. We shouldn't think that the ancient people were dummies.
Early man, people in ancient times, didn't have dashboard-mounted GPS units. They had the path of the sun through the sky, the path of the moon through the sky. They could see the stars at night. These were permanent fixtures that they could navigate from. So it's not surprising at all that almost every culture recorded astronomical phenomenon.
We never look up at the sky and enjoy the beauty of it. Ancient people, the skies would be so dark and the stars would be so bright. Not only that, but they relied on the sky for directions, for seasons in which to plant, and for a variety of things. Today, with our GPS units and navigation systems and computers, we don't need to look at the sky.
Now I want to be very clear about one thing, that our ancestors were as smart as we are today. However, I don't believe that ancient astronauts visited the Earth in the remote past. I am convinced of it because of all the countless indications and pieces of evidence that we can find from all around the world in different ancient cultures, in different mythologies and legends. I know it happened because if you look at all the pieces, it's the only conclusion that you can draw.
But just why were ancient peoples so focused on the sky and the stars in the first place? Were they waiting for something to happen? Or perhaps for something or someone to return? Four decades may have passed, but the ideas put forth by Eric von Daniken are still captivating his followers and frustrating his skeptics to this day. Like an Old Testament prophet or an ancient shaman, the author is still out there, spreading his firmly held message that we are not alone.
Die Steinzeit-Heinis haben nicht über Tausende von Kilometern eine schnurgerade Linie gezogen, teilweise übers Gebirge. Und unsere Steinzeitfreunde haben nicht Tausende von Steine in geometrischen Formen hingelegt. Hier ist Regie geführt worden.
But while the proof of von Daniken's theories may be debatable, their influence on movies, TV series, and even radio programs is undeniable.
It's a tremendous lightning rod for fiction and for fictional storytelling. The classic Battlestar Galactica series started with a narration that said, there are those who believe that life here began out there with tribes of humans far across the universe that may have been the forefathers of the Egyptians and the Toltecs and the Mayans. You know, that's straight out of von Daniken and that kind of belief, you know. It puts us in contact with an idea of a mythological intelligence. And that is one of the things that we as human beings crave desperately, is to know that we are not alone in the world and that somebody else out there is either looking after us or coming to fight for us, and that will unite us against the common enemy.
I was reading a lot of books from Erich von Däniken, and I can imagine that's the true what he wrote in his books, and so I can imagine this, that we had help from aliens, but I don't know, I'm not sure.
We only know so much in this world, and what we do know is so limited, and every day we're finding more that require us to ask more questions and bigger questions and think bigger. It's possible that something from another planet came, some other life form, intelligent life form came and did this.
I mean, who knows? It could be, because the origins of many things are lost in antiquity. All we have are remnants and shreds of evidence to suggest what might have happened.
Someone told me that it was proven that aliens had a part in this. I wouldn't be that surprised. Why not?
To be honest, ancient astronaut theory has never cropped up in a discussion with my colleagues. I don't care how many pints into it we've been, we have never discussed ancient astronaut theory in any credible way whatsoever.
One of the good things about ancient astronaut theory is that it makes us think. It brings out the, what about this? What about that? We need explanations for all these things. And I think that one of the main reasons why mainstream archaeologists get a real knee-jerk reaction to the ancient astronaut theory is that it's very disturbing to them, because they don't have all the answers.
Now, some of them may believe that life could exist in the universe, but their bottom line is, show me the proof. Show it to me for real. I want to see the spaceship. I want to see something concrete, not just a few pictures that everybody can interpret as being this or that.
Far-fetched, ridiculous, insane. Ancient aliens visiting Earth centuries ago, building monuments, influencing scripture. But what if it all turned out to be true? What would happen if just one piece of evidence turned up, one stone, one key, that proved that von Daniken had been right all along? And if he is right, what does that suggest about our future? If alien visitors had come here before, would they come again?